What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Cowboys Beat. On today's video, we're going to be talking about two moves that the Cowboys need to make before the 2024 season kicks off. Before we get into the video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. You guys have been awesome in your support recently, and I do appreciate it a lot. Okay, so I look at this Cowboys roster, and again, I go into another season and I say, roster-wise, they're ready to go. This is a roster that can go win a Super Bowl. I will continue to say it. The thing that holds me back from believing in this team is the head coach. Just going to be honest with you. I know some people don't like the negativity that comes with those comments, but I don't believe in Mike McCarthy. But from a roster perspective, this roster is one of the best in football. It's one of the top 5 rosters in football, even with the lack of moves that they made. When you look at some of their most important positions, quarterback, all-pro, wide receiver, all-pro, cornerbacks, they have all-pros there, edge rusher, all-pro, and then they have some really nice players as well. They have a good tight end group. They have a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, Oso Diazua. Their safeties, they're stocked with safeties. They're loaded at that position, right? They have some nice complementary options at wide receiver with a guy like Brandon Cooks, maybe a Jalen Tolbert steps up, one of those guys. So I look at this roster and I say, man, this is a pretty damn good roster, one of the best in the NFL. But there are some flaws with the roster. And I do look at defensive tackle, in particular, one technique, and I say the Cowboys probably need to go make a move there, which is fine. One technique is one of the easier positions to find on a football team. A lot of people love Jonathan Hankins. What if I were to tell you that the Cowboys traded a 6th-round pick to obtain Jonathan Hankins and got a 7th-round pick in return for the following year? So they traded a 2023 6th-round pick to go get him. And in return, they got a 2024 7th-round pick. Okay, and he played good football for you. So it's not hard to find guys at that position that can contribute. So what are the Cowboys going to do? Are they going to trade for a guy? Or are they going to sign for a guy? Are they going to sign a guy? I think that ultimately they end up signing a guy. Linval Joseph makes a lot of sense. I do believe ultimately they want Mozzie Smith to play that position. And they want him to play it at a high level, which I understand. But I just think that you're putting a lot of pressure on the kid coming off of, I think it's a 4 to 6 month rehab from his shoulder surgery. And he's putting on this weight and he's trying to get better with his technique. I think there's a lot of pressure on this kid. And I don't think it's a bad idea to just say, hey, look, we believe in you. This is a process. This is a project. We're working on you year by year, day by day, hour by hour. Okay. But in the meantime, we're just going to protect ourselves here. We want to make sure that we have a guy that can come in and give us a certain level of play. Is it going to be a high level? Is it going to be an elite level? Probably not. But can Linval Joseph come in and be above average for this team? Because I'm telling you this right now, I believe the Cowboys' run defense is going to be better in 2024. I really do. And people are going to look at me and say, oh, you're crazy. They lost Jonathan Hankins. This, that, and the third. Okay, they're going to be better because their defensive coordinator, for one, is going to at least match personnel. So when they're in 12 and 13 personnel, they're not in nickel and dime. They're going to match personnel. That'll make them better right off the rip. Being more disciplined. I think this defense is going to be more disciplined, especially with their run fits. I think that'll make them better. I think they'll have better run fits. They're not going to have defensive backs filling the A and B gaps, or more so the B gap, not really the A gap. They had a linebacker usually there. I think they're better at linebacker this year. I think the only thing that's really giving me cause to pause is, the uncertainty at one technique. But run defense is more than just having a good one technique, guys. You have to have edges that defend the run well. You got to have other defensive linemen. Your 3 techniques defend the run well. You got to have linebackers that can come up, fill holes, make tackles. You got to have guys in the 2nd and 3rd level for if things break out and they got to make sure to contain something, right? So run defense is more than just having a one technique, but having a good one technique does help your run defense, just like having a good edge that can defend the run helps your run defense. So it's an important position I think the Cowboys need to address. Not saying that he even needs to be the starter. Just be a guy that comes in and needs an insurance policy for Mozzie Smith while he's still rehabbing and working on his craft. That's all. It doesn't need to be you go out there and trade a 1st-round pick for a guy and admit, like, hey, we were wrong about the guy. You don't have to do that. Just get another guy in here, and I think that would make your room a lot better. The second position that the Cowboys need to address before the season starts is running back. I just think they need to add another guy to this room. Now, when you look at this running back room, Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Royce Freeman, that's the group that will probably be looked at as the most likely guys to make the roster. Now, all four of those guys aren't going to make the roster, by the way. I just want to put that out there. I'm going to be honest with you. If they go out there and get a guy, I like this running back room. I like Rico Dowdle. My problem with him is that, he struggles to stay healthy. Ezekiel Elliott had 1,000 all-purpose yards last year. He could still play. Is he the Zeke of old? Obviously not. But the Zeke of old was an all-pro running back. Is Zeke a good player? He's a good player. Still a good player. I like that signing a lot. He could contribute to this football team. Deuce Vaughn, are the Cowboys higher on Deuce Vaughn than maybe we think? If so, I understand why. I don't think the Cowboys gave him a great opportunity last year. When they got this guy out in space, he made plays. And if the Cowboys are looking for like a juice type of running back, Deuce Vaughn fits that role. I honestly believe if you ask Deuce Vaughn to do the things that he's good at, which is like a shocker, right? Do the things that you're good at. For some reason, Mike McCarthy was like, hey, run the ball in the interior here. Run into the teeth of the defense, like where it's the easiest to go and tackle you, instead of, hey, get out in space and try and make guys miss, something that I think that he'd be really good at. Maybe try and do something along those lines this upcoming season with Deuce Vaughn. But if they're higher on Deuce Vaughn than I think they are, then this conversation about running back might go out the window because, I think Rico and Ezekiel Elliott in a running back by committee work. They're fine. They're going to be good pieces in that room. I just think that, they're missing out on a juice guy. And is it Deuce Vaughn? Maybe it is. And if it is, I'm fine with that. But if it's not, they need to go out there, try and obtain a guy like Khalil Herbert or Israel Abanikanda, two guys that are in running back rooms that the teams that they're on right now have invested in. I would be looking around rosters like that. I'd be looking at the Atlanta Falcons, seeing what's going on over there, right? There's teams with a surplus at the running back position. And, my thing with the Cowboys running back situation is this. The personnel last year was fine. They had guys that could fit every role. They even had, the quote unquote hammer back, which is what people were talking about Ezekiel Elliott. They had that in Hunter Lipke. They just didn't use him that often, right? They had Tony Pollard. He's a guy that can be like your juice guy, can make plays on the outside. They had Rico Dowdle. He's your, slasher type of running back. You had Deuce Vaughn. He's your elusive back. You had Hunter Lipke. He's your power back. The problem with the Cowboys run game last year was they didn't block well enough and they didn't scheme things up well enough. That goes on Mike McCarthy and that goes on the offensive line. I think they need to be better at tight end blocking. They need to be better at center blocking. Zach Martin and Terrence Steele need to be better this upcoming season. There's a lot of things where I look at and I say, okay, if the Cowboys can do this better this season, they're going to run the football more effectively, even with, a running back room that people might not think is as strong as it was last year. I just, I think that there were bigger problems last year than the personnel on that team. I just really do. And, if they don't get those things fixed, it doesn't matter who's running for them next year. That's kind of the way I look at this situation. But that's going to be it for the video though, guys. I appreciate you guys for staying till the very end. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, I will see you guys later.